So now we're going to do linear equation graphing, but this time instead of in y equals mx plus b form, let's try it with the x and y intercepts. This is what is referred to as standard form. When you have the x and the y terms on one side, and on the other side you have the constant term. So the process to find the x and the y axes, or the intercepts, excuse me, is to plug 0 in for one of the variables and solve for the other one. That tells you where on the axis that will fall, the graph will fall. So if I put 0 in for something, say I put 0 in for x, that means the x value is 0. So it's not going to move left or right at all. It's just going to move up or down. So that will give us the y-intercept. So in other words, if you substitute in the x value as 0, you'll get the y-intercept. So let's move that down here so that we can see that. But what's interesting is, notice it's when you put in 0 for x, you end up with the y-intercept because you're solving for y. And we can copy that and paste that again, but this time, let's change the color first so that it's a little easier to follow. And if you substitute y as 0, you get the x-intercept. So it's important to realize both of these parts. So if I put 0 in for x as we stated, what's 0 times 7? That whole thing is going to be 0. So you end up with 2y equals 14, and then when you solve, y is 7. So now I can plot the point 0 for x, 7 for y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there is my first point in my graph. So now the next thing, I'm just going to erase that so I have room. The next thing we can do is we can plug in 0 for y. Well, 2 times 0 is 0, so that whole thing is 0. So I get 7x equals 14. And when I solve by dividing by 7, x is 2. So the x-intercept is at 2, positive 2. So if I draw a line through that point, or those points. Usually we want more than 2 points, but when you're talking about intercepts, you're only going to have 2 of them. So you're kind of stuck with it. And there is your graph when you're using intercepts. Are you always going to have a nice, neat answer for x-intercept and y-intercept? It all depends on the problem. The answer is no, you're not always going to. I believe most of the problems that we'll probably give you will include nice, neat ones, but you could have fractions, and that makes it much harder to graph unless you break the coordinates up. Like if you had halves, every 2 would count as 1 so that you could mark it better, but in general, you're just stuck with it if you have something that comes out as fractions. So in this one, having seen it once, why don't you give it a try and then see how you did in coming up with the x and y intercepts. We'll plot them and graph them. So pause the video, give it a try, and then you can try it with me afterwards. So you can check your answers with me, I should say. Now that you've done that, let's check out the answer. So 0 for x gives me negative, remember that negative goes with the 3y, equals 24. And then I divide by negative 3, y equals negative 8. So my y value is negative 8 for my y-intercept. And then if I do the same thing but for plug 0 for y, solve for x, this becomes 0. So 2x equals 24. Divide by 2. X is 12. Now, on your graph, if you're using my sheets, it's going to have enough room. But it doesn't have enough room on this one. So I have to go 10, 11, 12. I'm approximating here. On your graph, as I said, you probably have enough grids to do this. I just don't. How about that? And right through there. Okay. I could recreate one of these and just slide it over so that we can check it, but I think it's close enough for our work here. Hopefully you got that right. Again, try this one, pause the video, try it, and then we'll go over it. All right, so now let's try this. 0 in for x, negative y equals negative 15, y equals 15. Boy, I didn't think that one out very well, because that goes way off my graph. Let's see, I think I could recreate that. I just have to take this, ungroup it, and I just have to get rid of, oh hey, yeah, I can get rid of that, and rid of this, and then I can just overlap it. And now I'm ready to go. Okay, so y equals positive, oh, I put that in the wrong direction. I need to bring that here. I was putting it in the x spot, not the y spot. 15, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now, I need to plug in 0 for y, so that gives me 5x equals negative 15. I divide both sides by 5, x equals negative 3. Now I can plot negative 3 as the x-intercept, and then I can just graph it. All right. And that's a pretty good graph. And there you have it. Probably should have used -5, and that would have been much nicer. All right, you try this one on your own, and I will go over it with you. All right, assuming you've paused the video and done it, let's check it out. Let's see, 0 here gives me 3y equals 12. Divide by 3, y equals 4. And for the other, I plug in 0 here, negative 4, y equals 12. Divide by negative 4, y equals negative 3. So the y value, x equals negative 3. That should have been an x, my mistake. X equals negative 3. The x value, negative 3. The y value, positive 1, 2, 3, 4. And the line goes right through there. And there you have it. I hope that was easy for you. I think that's all examples, so have a great day.